Hey, good morning. Welcome back to another Caleb Loves Tech video. Time to take another trip to see some TVs. A trip, honestly, I wasn't sure I was going to make. I will explain that in just a moment, but for now, we've got to get out to New Jersey again. Oh man, well, that was dumb. I had this whole plan to do like a B-roll montage of me getting out here, and I just couldn't. And the reason why is the same reason that I almost didn't make it out here in the first place. So Saturday night, I just started getting that feeling like, oh no, I'm about to get sick. And then by Sunday morning, it was very clear that I definitely had some kind of a cold, a head cold of some sort. Now, I don't get sick very often. In fact, I don't think I've been sick for a good 2 years. And so when I do get sick, it usually knocks me down really, really hard. I figure, I'm usually pretty good at fighting it off, but when it gets me, it must be pretty bad. And that is definitely the case here. Now, I fully expect some of you to roast me over having the man cold. Call it what you want. The fact of the matter is, what I experienced would knock just about anyone down. Anyway, when I woke up on Monday, and it was even worse, I thought, well, for sure, I'm not going to be able to fly out on Tuesday. Still, I just proceeded as if I was going to fly out. I slowly got everything packed, loaded up on meds, started just drinking Airborne and Emergency and hydrating like crazy. Just got everything that I thought I would need to survive the trip if I decided I was going to go. And honestly, when I went to bed on Monday night, I really didn't know if I was gonna make it. I kind of had to leave it up to how I felt on Tuesday morning. Wake up on Tuesday morning, and here's the thing. I've been, ever since my last trip to the East Coast for the Samsung stuff, which I'll get to in just a minute, I've been just kind of keeping my body on East Coast time. The way I figure it, especially with the whole, time change to daylight saving, like I figured I might as well just keep waking up super early on the West Coast because I know I'm going back to the East Coast soon, and it can be such a pain to wake up at what feels like 3:30 in the morning so that you can go and be at an event at what feels like 6 in the morning. So I figure I'll just trick my body and do that. Anyway, so it kind of paid off, I think, to already be getting up early. Got up at like 5 a.m. in Portland, and I actually felt a little bit better. And I thought, you know what, with some Dayquil and some Sudafed, I think I'm gonna be good. So I went ahead and I made the flight out here, and it was not too bad, to be honest with you. I was really worried that like all the sinus pressure was gonna be an issue with all the pressurization of the cabin at altitude, but the flight went fine. It's actually the descent, the landing, that was really uncomfortable. Anyway, even though I didn't feel terrible, I definitely felt drained. And so when I got to the airport, it was all about getting that bag, getting in the Uber, and getting over to the hotel as soon as I possibly could so that I could just load up on some NyQuil, maybe try and have something to eat, and fall asleep as soon as possible, which is what I did. Like all told, I think I was awake for maybe 12 or 13 hours yesterday, and then I slept in this morning because I fortunately don't have to be anywhere until 2, but I slept in till like 8:30 or something like that. And unfortunately woke up feeling worse than the day before. So here I am, loaded up on Dayquil and Sudafed and taking Airborne, and grabbed myself a mocha at Starbucks and a little blueberry muffin, even though I really just haven't felt like eating much at all. And you know what? I just felt off enough that I was like, dang it, I better test myself. So I grabbed a test, the kind, and double checked, and sure enough, it's a negative. So not even a faint line, thank goodness. So I know I'm good there, but still don't really want to be spreading this around. So I'm just gonna be, keeping my distance and, fist bump or elbow bump, actually, the folks that I'll see at the event. But yeah, about that event. Well, first, before I go on to the LG event that I'm here for, let me just explain that the Samsung event, all the Samsung stuff that I got the last time I vlogged about a trip, that's all coming out. So there are a bunch of videos. Go to Digital Trends on YouTube, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and then you're gonna get 4 straight days of Samsung TV news. Anyway, the cool thing about this trip with LG is that stuff that we're gonna see is not under embargo. So I can show you a few things here, although most of the content that I'm capturing while I'm here is gonna be going up on the Digital Trends channel, but I'll try and show you some behind the scenes stuff. Anyway, I'm here for two events. The first one is around LG's monitors, their LG Gram laptops. They also have a projector. And I hear there might be something like extra cool that uses LG's curved OLED monitors. Don't want to speak too soon about that because it's not a guaranteed deal. But if what I think might be there actually is there, it's going to be amazing. And we'll put that out probably as a social short video on YouTube Shorts and Instagram and TikTok. So if you don't follow Digital Trends on those platforms, definitely do that, because that's probably where you're gonna see that. I don't know that I could make a full video about it, but I definitely will try. That happens a little bit later today, and I'll probably publish a video soon about the experience that I had today. The next day, that would be Thursday, as I'm living it right now. I'm not sure how this is gonna line up with the publishing, but Thursday is the day that I'm gonna get a bunch of access to the TV. So we're talking about the C4 OLED, the G4 OLED, the M series OLED, which I think is M4. I'll double check that, but that's the wireless OLED. So we're gonna get access to those televisions and get to do some actual testing, which I'm really excited about. Now for this trip, I actually asked LG to invite Classy Tech Calibrations to come out here. He was wanting to come and check it out, and they were only too happy to bring him out. So he's gonna be here, and I'm actually kind of partnering with him. I'm gonna let him handle taking some measurements while I do a deep dive on some more subjective stuff and look at a bunch of content. So we're gonna kind of team up, divide and conquer, because we really don't get that much hands-on time with the TVs. This is a reviewer's workshop, but like, what does that mean? Well, ostensibly, it's an opportunity for LG to kind of tell us what they were working on this year, what's different, what they've changed. More information than we're able to get at CES when the TVs are still kind of being developed. They're announced, but there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been finalized. And so we get an earful from LG about, their business and what they're doing with their TVs and how they think they're competitive and why they think their stuff is the best. So there's definitely a bunch of that kind of programming going on. But the other advantage is actually for LG, because they get the reviewers out there, they get to hear about our first impressions, they get to hear about our concerns, and that leaves them a little time to start planning tweaks going forward. So for an OLED, that might be, do you raise the black levels a little bit to get better shadow detail, or do you crush the blacks a little bit just so that you have richer blacks across the board? OLED compounds are finicky like that. They like to jump steps in the grayscale, the lowest ones. And so how you handle that is tricky. For mini LED or just LED TVs, the question there is, do you mitigate halo and blooming to the point that maybe you have slightly lower peak brightness, or do you juice up the peak brightness and don't worry so much about the halo and blooming? A lot of that comes down to how many different zones that they want to put in the backlight, and how many zones they put in the backlight system affects how powerful the processor needs to be and all that other stuff. So a lot of different choices have to be made. There are always trade-offs though. It's not like you can have everything in one display, at least not with the technologies that are being used today. Anyway, they get to get a feel from us about what we might be saying about these TVs going forward in reviews, and then they get an opportunity to decide if they're gonna be making any changes on that stuff. They can usually deploy these changes as software or firmware updates. The hardware itself isn't gonna change. I mean, that stuff has already probably landed here in the US and is shipping out to retailers across North America. But as we know from the past several years of TV releases, it's not uncommon for changes, fixes, or updates to come down the road after the TVs have landed. Now, I don't personally have a problem with that kind of an approach. I know a lot of people are like, just get the TV right before you put it out. But the thing about bugs is that oftentimes, even though you do a lot of debugging efforts, you don't catch them all. So I, for one, am happy that they're able to deploy these updates after the TVs start landing in users' homes. Plus, let's be honest, the number of people who immediately buy the brand new TV as soon as it's coming out pretty low relative to the general populace. Most folks are going to kind of wait it out and see what the reviews say, and then maybe make their purchase. And even then, sometimes they wait even longer to see if the prices are going to come down. Anyway, that's the point of this particular trip, but it does give us an opportunity to dig into the new TVs a little bit before the review samples start coming out. Also gives me a vibe for like, which one do I want to review first, the G4 or the C4? Or even the M series, since that's basically the same as the G series, it just happens to be the wireless version. Because that's the trick, like increasingly over the past few years, PR and marketing arms of these companies are getting fewer and fewer review samples to send out to reviewers. And so given there's a limited supply, you know, it helps to be able to have an alternative. So I might ask for the G4 first with the M4 as the next alternate. And then the C4 after that. And if they don't have enough G4s, or I don't really care much about whether I do a G4 or a M4, they may give me an M4 so that they can satisfy other G4 orders. Anyway, it's all very exciting. We're really running a gauntlet here though, because as soon as I get home from this particular trip, I basically have to turn right around and head to LA for another trip. Now, I'm not sure how much about that trip is under embargo, so I'm not going to say anything about it yet, but I will say it's another TV event. It's being held in LA at a studio lot, actually. So where the content creation in Hollywood meets the content display, that's what we're going to be seeing on that particular trip. Anyway, really curious to see how this week turns out. Hopefully I can just keep my wits about me and push through, even though I'm not feeling my best. I'm definitely not bringing my best energy. And you can probably hear that I don't sound great, but you know, I'm just going to be careful and respectful and get the job done, push through, because this is the time of year that sets the tone for the rest of the year, I think, and for that reason, it feels really important. The other reason I like these kind of trips is it gives me an opportunity to talk to these companies and get inside their heads and really learn about what their approach is, and you know, I don't know, just kind of like get a feel for what's going on in 2024 for TVs. Anyway, I think that's it for now. I'm gonna go ahead and slap this video together and then get to the event. So when you watch this, it'll probably be tomorrow morning as I'm recording this. And then I'll have a couple of more videos, at least 2 more out of this trip that I'll be able to share with you. If you have any questions, definitely leave them as a comment on this video. I will try and get answers if I don't have them already, but it's also helping inform me what I want to put into the video content that I'm doing for Digital Trends. So that is very much appreciated. If you haven't already, slap this video with a like. Don't forget to subscribe if this is your first time seeing my personal vlog channel. Love having you here. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, peace.